Greetings and bienvenue, midnight crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
My story isn't quite scary, but more like weird. Beamy 7. Deadly allergic to spiders. Didn't know yet. Mom's blind, mainly raised by Graham. Sometime in the afternoon I got bit on my ear. I didn't think nothing of it. Night, watching old VHS tapes with Mom. She liked to listen. Mom goes to stroke my head. Oh God, what's this? She lets out a audible scream. Graham gets the station wagon. I kept passing out in the car. I could see my mom yelling at me to stay awake, but I couldn't hear her. At the hospital, I immediately get rushed to the emergency room. I kept passing out. I'm in the hospital bed. I lose consciousness. Have like a vision or dream or whatever. I'm in a gray grass field still wearing my hospital gown. There was no color, the sky had no sun, and it quiet. Felt something grab my leg. It's a gray arm. It's trying to pull me down into the grass. More arms spring up. They keep pulling me down. I was panicking and biting at the arms to no avail. I'm halfway down and I start to pray. The only prayer I knew was just the lay me down to sleep one. Halfway through and I couldn't remember the verse. Try to remember, how did Grandma say it? Couldn't remember my grandma's face or the verse. Couldn't even remember my name. My arms started turning gray. I couldn't do anything and just screamed at the top of my lungs. I woke up to the doctor shaking me, trying to get me to stop screaming. Apparently when I was out I wouldn't stop screaming. The doctors don't know what happened. I oddly enough never developed arachnophobia. However, I can't stand being put under or being drugged because it gives a similar experience. I had one other similar experience later in life that I might post later. It's nice to know that others have had supernatural or strange experiences of their own. I'm Irish. Grew up being scared shitless of the banshee. I used to stay up until past midnight every night during the summer watching TV in our sitting room and jacking off. One night, 3 of the weirdest knocks on the front door. Immediately shit myself and panic and then pull the sitting room window curtain to peek out. Not a sinner, nobody in sight. I turn everything off and run up to bed. Next day my next door neighbor, who was my godmother and only 46 years old, is found dead of natural causes in her house. Realized that knock was dead man's knock and feel guilty to this very day that her death was my fault.
What's dead man's knock?
It's a knock mostly associated with the banshee. You receive 3 strange knocks on your front door and you are supposed to open the door and then go open the back door so the spirit can pass through the house peacefully. Otherwise someone close to you will die. If I had done that, my neighbor would not have died that day.
I remember this happened when I was 6. Parents work a lot, stay at my mom's side parents. My mom's dad died at a pretty young age. Never got to meet him, but he was pretty cool. Fought in Angola. So at my grandma's just chilling. Around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't remember if this happened one day I had school or it was a weekend. Not important to the story though. Playing Pokemon Diamond. I had to use Machamp as my main cause my brother released my Chimchar. My great aunt comes in to where the kids play. Tells me and my brother to put our shoes on and get ready. WTF. JPEG, I'm leveling up my Machoke. Yells now at us. Let me put some insight into the house. Everyone used to live on the main level since it was finished. When my grandpa was alive he finished the basement and made it into like another house kinda. Like currently we're thinking about trying to rent it by splitting it in half. Back to the story, we're about to head into the stairs to leave when I hear banging coming from the cold cellar. So we have a door that opens to like a big room with supports in it, and at the end of the room is a door where we would keep like cans and shit. Little cantina. Cold cellar door is open, I can see the cantina door closed. Banging coming from it. Grandma, what's that banging? Grandma yanks my arm up the stairs. We noped out of there. Took me and my brother home, never knew what happened afterwards. Heard something about my uncle going there. Uncle is a firefighter. Looking back on it today, don't really know what he could have done, if it was someone in there banging or if it was my grandpa's ghost. I have more stories of that house if anyone's interested. I remember when I was older this happened. Sleeping over. Didn't want to because there isn't Wi-Fi there. They made us go to bed at 10 since they did. Sleeping in my mom's old room that is now a guest bedroom. Grandma and grand-aunt fall asleep really quickly. Hear footsteps outside my room in the corridor. We have a long piece of carpet that covers the entire corridor. You can barely hear footsteps if someone's stepping on it. I'm at 12 at this point, so I have some knowledge of the shit going on. Think to myself, it's a burglar who has a heavy foot or something. Grab my house keys and put them around my knuckles, like in between each finger as makeshift brass knuckles. This 12-year-old kid who is 5 feet 10 and 220 pounds in his underwear is gonna beat the fuck out of a burglar with keys. Fuck is going on. .png. Open the door slowly in the corridor. Have my phone on my left hand with the light on and the keys around my fingers on my right since it was my dominant hand. See nothing. WTF. Think to myself. This guy must be using active camo. Was playing Metal Gear Solid 4 at that time, got it from my uncle. Thought it was a game. Hear another thump above me. Look up. Something was fucking crawling on the ceiling. IDK what the fuck it was. Scream out, holy fuck. Run back to the room and hide in the closet. It's one of those closets like have the little slits that you can see through, you know. Door opens. My grandma walks in and sees me out of bed. Still in closet. Hear my grandma talking to someone, and it was my great aunt, cause it didn't sound like her, plus she is a heavy sleeper.
Q, where are you?
Come out the closet explaining my story. Tells me to go back to sleep. That shit freaked me out to this day. That's why I sleep with my knife under my pillow even to this day.
The weirdest shit that ever happened to me was something kind of mundane, but still fucking spooky. I don't even believe in supernatural stuff generally, but I can't explain this. Family leaves for a week to go to the family cottage during the summer. Decide to stay home because the mosquitoes and shit are really bad that year, and I just couldn't be fucked to deal with that shit. Laying in bed playing Pokemon on my GBA or something, just enjoying the time alone. Doorknob starts rattling around a bit as if someone is about to come in. Say something like, hey, come on in. I'm decent, thinking it's just a buddy stopping in or one of my parents dropped by for something. Don't get a response and the doorknob keeps shaking. Get a little confused and say a few more things like, come on in. It's not locked, or, who's there? Doorknob keeps shaking and picks up pace a bit over time, still no response from anyone, and I'm starting to get a little freaked out. Just kind of sit there and look at the door for a bit because I don't know who the fuck is doing it, and whoever it is won't say anything. Entire door eventually starts to shake a bit as if someone is holding the doorknob and just jerking it around. Builds up to the entire door violently shaking about as much as the hinges will allow it to. The door shaking is loud as fuck and I'm absolutely scared shitless because this makes no fucking sense. Eventually get the balls to just get up and walk towards the door. Don't say anything and just quickly grab the doorknob and open it. Nothing on the other side. No one in the hallway. No one else is in the house. No cars in the driveway. Parents say they never stopped by. The only fucking thing I can think of is maybe there was some kind of fuckery with an open window going on, but I doubt a breeze from a window would be able to make my door shake like that and for so long, and it stopped as soon as I opened it. Shit still spooks me when I think about it. It was fucking weird.
B19, female, temporarily homeless due to a couple of bad decisions but making it work as I have a car, a few possessions, and money saved. Have a few hours to kill and know where to go one morning. Decide to take my book to a popular forested area with a long boardwalk through it. Walk down the planked stairs from the parking lot. No other cars were there, into the trees and to an intersection of paths. A weird man in his 50s wearing sunglasses sitting there, staring me down as I pass him. Proceed down a path that snakes around the trees. Get a cold, sinking feeling. Turn and look behind me, and in a small gap through the branches I can see back to the spot where the man was sitting and see that he had stood up, but proceeded to sit back down as soon as I spotted him, still staring at me. Hell fuck no. Run full speed to my car and peel the fuck into the highway. This was more than 10 years ago and I'm still sweating typing this.
Pretty sure my mom's a sociopath and possibly killed a guy. She's not like woohoo crazy or anything, just kinda off. A bit distant mostly, super antisocial, but the biggest fucking phony when she wants to be. She calls it turning it on. Anyway, she's not really a sociopath because she loves the shit out of me. I mean only me, but still, she has been a good mom. I can deal with her wiring being a bit off. About 10 years ago she was dating a guy, a rare thing for her, that I just fucking hated. He was such a total jerk. She, of course, was clueless. I didn't want to be an asshole, cause I honestly thought she needed a boyfriend, just not him. For a while I tried to subtly sabotage the relationship, but subtlety doesn't really work on my mom. Then one day he came over before she got home from work and gave me a bunch of shit about how he was going to be my new dad and how everything was about to change for my spoiled ass. That night I told my mom he tried to play with my private and to get me to play with his. Dude just disappeared. There was an investigation and everything. Cops came by the house. Mom cried and begged them to tell her where he was, etc. After they left, she saw me looking at her as she watched them out the window. She smiled and said,
"Don't worry about it, kiddo. It'll all blow over soon."
My face when I never mentioned to the cops about my missing baseball bat and the trip my mom took in the middle of the night. A few weeks ago I admitted to my mom that the dude never really tried to touch me and she just looked at me for a minute and then laughed and,
"Oh well, he was guilty of being an asshole anyway."
Summer camp, oh boy yeah, here we go. Be like 12. Latrines are a short walk from tents. Before bed everyone of course goes. Must be around 10 p.m. and already quite dark, but still can see. See lights up in the mountain, behind the trees, somewhat nearby. Some people hear whispers, but general panic ensues. Counselors on edge, everyone told to get in our tents. Hear the screams of something like babies crying, they echo. Counselor treeing to call local municipal police, but no service, gets it by climbing up on a table crying. See all of this from under the zipper of my tent. Rest of counselors arm themselves with pickaxes, yeah, and different tools and flashlights. Shitting my pants like everyone else in camp, and same with my tent mates. Paranoia and panic is fucked up to the point we were saying the dumbest shit and can hear people crying. Police jeep comes. Lights were probably poachers. Screams were probably agonizing boars. Whispers were poachers telling us to shut the fuck up. This actually happened and still terrifies me because it shows what widespread paranoia and fear can do firsthand.
10 years ago, I unconsciously externalized a lifetime's worth of grief and anger, or at least enough of it to either take on a mind of its own or attract something that feeds off negative emotions. It looked like a 3D shadow. At first, you could only catch glimpses of it, like a deeper darkness moving in the shadows of darkened rooms. I saw it, friends saw it. One friend of mine woke up with it standing in my guest bedroom with him. We'd had a big party and he thought it was another one of the post-party crashers fucking with him until he threw a pillow at it and it just faded away. We came back from a beer run to find him sitting in the driveway in his car. He never so much as set foot in my house again. Sometimes it looked like a panther, sometimes a man, sometimes something between. It loved anger, sadness, and fear most of all. It fostered those emotions in people to feed. One night when I'd hit the bedrock bottom of depression, I was sitting in the bath contemplating self-end when a weird static began intruding on my thoughts, like a buzzing in my head. I could feel it standing outside my bathroom door, like a cold draft blowing in from underneath it. It started scratching at the door. To this day, I don't know that I didn't give it exactly what it wanted.
Pre-word, this isn't paranormal. When I was a kid, some shit went down with my parents. Basically, my dad was about to kill my mom with a knife right without knowing I was watching. The only thing stopping the knife from connecting to my mother's throat was an old analog phone that she had just used to call the police, I'm guessing. My father sees me, or knows I'm there, and he runs off and exits the house. This is when shit gets a little fuzzy. I don't remember exactly why, but a few minutes after this my mom had to leave to do something. She told us to keep shit locked in case he came back. My older brother was there with me at the time. While my mother is gone, we hear my father yelling from outside trying to get us to let him in. He kept claiming he was cold and needed some pants to try and fool us, but my brother knew better. Eventually we moved into my mom's room and tried to block the door with a big chair. Father somehow gets into the house and starts slamming his body against my mother's door while my brother and I are pushed against it. Dunno why, but he stops after only a few attempts. He leaves and later he is arrested. Life went to shit for a while afterwards. Nothing spooky about it, just something that happened to me as a kiddo.
Me and my parents and sister went to San Diego and stayed at the Del in 2009 and 2010. In 2009, when we stayed there, I was sleeping on a cot since we were all sharing one large room. I felt restless and uncomfortable every night sleeping there, but the night before, or the night before that, we left. I woke up at 5 in the morning to the sound of a woman screaming and a door slamming. I woke up and was shitting bricks. But for some reason I was the only person that heard it. My family tried to tell me it was my imagination, but I heard it as clear as day. In 2010 we stayed there again. Still had trouble sleeping. I have this condition called sleep paralysis, which is when you wake up in your sleep and can't move. But your brain is still in dream mode, so you hallucinate things while you're awake. So I had an episode when I was there, but this time it was different. I woke up to an image of a tall man dressed in 1800s style clothing. He looked transparent and everything had a blue tinge to it. But where his eyes were, it was just all black. Not even black eyes, just dark holes that seemed like they could go on forever. I couldn't scream, let alone really breathe. When I tried to scream, I just made a wheezing noise. I was sweating bullets and thought I was going to die. When all of a sudden I was asleep again. I didn't even remember falling asleep, but I was asleep and woke up the next morning feeling like I've been through something traumatic. This was different from all the other sleep paralysis episodes in that I truly felt a presence at my bed, just staring into my soul, and I could have swore at that time that I was going to die. I will remember this for the rest of my life.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.